Hey, it's Terry, your yoga bestie, and we have a great class today. It does require 2 blocks or something similar to blocks that can be utilized, at least in the beginning. Wait, you know what? I'll just show you how to do some of it without. But we're going to start out in a space where we're opening up the shoulders and the upper back. So I want to invite you with blocks to check out what it feels like maybe on the lowest level. I'm going on the second level because I'm familiar with where it feels best in my body, but definitely not the high level. So you're going to take your elbows there almost to the top because you want your forearms to come onto it, and you might have to kind of play with where your knees go. And then we're just going to bring our hands together at the small of our neck as we let our head relax. Breathing here. So please feel free to test out different heights to see what works best for you. And then just once you find your place here, check in with your breath as we inhale and exhale through the nose. Tapping into our Ujjayi breath, so inhaling and exhaling through our nose. And with each inhale, feeling the space right below the navel start to lift as it draws upward, feeling an expansion through the belly, the side bodies, the rib cage, and that breath draws all the way up to where it lifts the collarbones. And on your exhalation, you're going to feel your belly button draw in towards the spine, allowing you to use all 3 parts of the lungs. Our Ujjayi breath is an audible breath, so you're going to hear a snoring like sound in the back of the throat, kind of like you're fogging up a mirror. Let's see if we can create a rhythm where we're inhaling to the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, exhaling 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just continue with this rhythm. And know that as we're in this shoulder opener, you can always come into regular child's pose. Or I did just tell you I was going to show you without the blocks. You're just doing the same thing. You're just bringing those elbows down and bringing those hands back behind the head. So there is a good option for that. Otherwise, we've been talking about the 5th chakra, our throat chakra lately. Location is not only the throat, but also the neck, the jaw, the mouth, the ears, the shoulders. Element is ether or sound. The color is a bright blue or turquoise, so you might envision that color coming from those areas of the body that I mentioned. And it affects things like our expression, communication, authenticity, listening. And today's affirmation that I have for you is I choose stillness when words are not needed. And that mainly talks to, the different thoughts that come into our head all the time. You start to notice that becomes overwhelming, not just in this practice, but just in general. You might just focus on inhaling my inhale breath, exhaling my exhale breath. Something really simple, just focused on that exact action so that you can let go of any other thoughts, which will bring you to stillness. So again, our affirmation is I choose stillness when words are not needed. And feel free to utilize that whenever you need throughout the practice. I'll also be referring to it throughout. We'll take a full breath in here. Exhale. And let's roll it all the way up to seated, where we'll bring our hands together at our heart center, our Anjali Mudra, tucking our chin under as we set our intention for our practice today. And maybe we're utilizing that affirmation of I choose stillness when words are not needed. Or maybe something else resonates with you. Please honor that. When you're ready, we'll open up our eyes, and we're going to utilize those blocks again. So this time you might start out with the second height or even go to the tallest height. And we're going to want it to where we bring those knees back, but our hips are over the knees. And it's kind of like we're in a cat-cow movement. So as we inhale, we're going to draw the chest down, gaze goes forward. And then as we exhale, we push into the blocks as we round the upper back, gazing towards the navel. So just kind of finding a rhythm where you inhale and exhale. One more of these. And then we'll lift ourselves up. We can place those blocks to the side, maybe find a little bit of movement from side to side in that tabletop position. And then we're gonna place our right hand behind our head, letting our elbow come out to the side. So it's like this. And we're really pushing into that left hand. We're inhaling as we open up to the right. Exhale, we lower. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, lower. And just start to move through this a few times at your pace. Next time we lift it up, go ahead and reach those fingertips up, stacking shoulder on top of shoulder. And then we're gonna thread that arm underneath. And typically we come into a thread the needle with the right ear temple down. We could also have a block underneath us here. But if you always do that, maybe try it with the forehead down so you're feeling a different stretch in the outer shoulder. Couple breaths as we inhale. Exhale. Big breath in. And exhale. So slide that hand back, push into the palm as you reach that right arm back up, and then we'll lower it down as we set up for our second side. So bring the left hand behind the head, elbow out to the side, and then we inhale, opening up, exhale, close. Just start to move through those at your pace. Next time you lift up, reach those fingertips up, and then we're gonna tuck that arm underneath, finding your version of thread the needle. So if you like the version with the ear down, cool. If you wanna try out that one with the forehead onto the mat so you breathe into the outer shoulder, also take one more breath here. Exhale, and then slide that hand back. We'll reach those left fingertips up, opening, and then we'll bring that hand down, coming into our tabletop position, where we'll tuck our toes under, making our way into our first down dog of the practice. So starting to find some movement by bicycling the legs or maybe bending the knees as you move your hips from side to side. Big breath in. As we exhale, walk your hands to the back of the mat. So hands to feet as we come into our forward fold, where we might reach for opposite elbows, or we could bring the arms behind the back. You could walk the hands from side to side, whatever feels good to you. Exhale, release your arm variation. Slight bend in the knees as we roll all the way up to standing. Arms will reach up overhead, gaze is lifted as we inhale. Exhale, forward folds. We either swan dive or bring those hands through heart center. Inhale, we'll lengthen halfway. Exhale into our forward fold. And then walk those hands all the way forward, coming into your plank or push-up position. Inhale. Exhale, we'll slowly lower either all the way onto our bellies or we'll hover in that chaturanga. Inhaling into your cobra or maybe up dog. And we'll exhale into our down dog, lifting up those hips. From there, go ahead and lift up the right leg. Open up that hip, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling. And we'll stay, or we can start to make some circles going in one direction, going in the other direction. Inhale, straighten that leg. Exhale, knee draws to nose as we bring that foot all the way through, coming into our runner's lunge. And we might have those blocks to each side of the foot as we start to shift forward and back from runners to our pyramid-like pose. Knowing that we can always lower that back knee down. We can always hang out a little bit longer in a space. Breathe into that space. All right, so next time we'll shift it forward, lowering that back knee down. Arms will reach up overhead as we come into our supported crescent pose. And then bring those elbows down by the sides, cactusing the arms so that we can really open up through the chest. Inhale. And then as we exhale, lower those hands down. We're gonna either reach for our right big toe or our knee as we start to extend that leg towards the back of our mat. So know that you can always hold onto the knee or find that big toe. Inhale. On our exhale, we're gonna bend that leg and all 10 toes are gonna face the back as we come into our arrow lunge. So any arm variation you like, arms could be back, arms could be forward. It's like we're in crescent pose as far as the legs are concerned, but our torso is in that 45 degrees. And again, choose any version that you like. Big breath in. On your exhale, bring your feet together at the back of your mat. So we're coming into chair pose. Arms will reach as we sit into those heels. And then we're twisting with scissor arms towards the right. So sit back, maybe find a little bit of a bounce as you come into this first chair pose so you're not bringing your weight forward. As we exhale, we're moving into half moon. So right fingertips in front of right toes. Maybe you have a block here. As you open it up, flexing through that left foot. As you exhale, lower the left hand down, lower the left foot down, and then push into the mat. Lift up that foot just enough to move into your active pigeon. So bringing that ankle over towards the left wrist. Back toes are tucked under as we come on to our fingertips in this wide stance. Inhale, we lift up through the chest. Exhale, we bring it forward as the elbows come out to the sides. And you can hold right there, or maybe you start to lift and lower a few times. If you're moving forward and back, go ahead and stay and hold it here for a full breath in. Exhale. Inhale, pushing into the mat. We'll lean into our right side, and then we're going to face towards the front of our mat as we come into a seated fold. So we're bringing the sole of the right foot to the inner thigh of that left leg. We are going to frame this leg, and once you kind of find an area that's not your edge, but you're pretty comfortable in, go ahead and bring that right hand behind your head like we did previously, and we're going to open up to the side and then close. Next time we open, reach that arm up and back, and then bring it back behind you for our supported version of our wild thing. So we're gonna lift up the hips, bringing that left arm overhead, maybe finding some circles here. Reaching up through the fingertips, push the mat away with the right hand as we lift up into our gait pose. So left arm will come down that leg as right arm reaches up and over, breathing into that side body. Full breath in. And then as you exhale, gaze down. We're moving into standing splits, so all 10 toes are gonna face the front now. Hands will come down as we reach up with the right heel. And feel free to stay here. Feel free to play with some hops. Just kind of seeing what can happen, because we do this a lot in our arm balances, like a crow pose, ones that were closer to the floor when we're doing this, but not so much here. So maybe play with the idea of lifting up with the blocks underneath your hands, because it gives you something tangible to push against, and you might find some airtime. It's kind of fun, or I think it's my kind of fun at least. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bring that foot down, finding your forward fold. We'll roll all the way up to standing as soon as our head lifts. Reach those arms up and back. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant as we make our way to our down dog. Once we find that down dog, go ahead and lift up the left leg. Open up that hip, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling as you work the right heel down. Stay or make those circles. Inhale, we straighten. Exhale, knee draws to nose as we bring that foot all the way through for our runner's lunge. So maybe we have those blocks here as we shift forward and back. Same options if we want to take any detours or hang out somewhere a little bit longer. Next time that we come forward, lower that back knee down right above the kneecap. Arms will reach up overhead. And then we'll bring those elbows in close to our sides as we breathe into the chest. Drawing our gaze up and our shoulders down. One more breath in. Exhale, hands come down. We're gonna take hold of that big toe or our knee for our toe hold as we send that leg towards the back of our mat. Big breath in. Exhale, lean that foot. All 10 toes will face the back as we move into arrow lunge. So we have that option to choose from different arm variations. Big breath in. Exhale, feet come together at the back of the mat and we'll find chair pose. Arms will reach. Exhale, open it up towards the left, coming into that twist. So maybe we find that little bounce here. Yeah, bounce it, bounce it. You know, the more fun you make it, the less you're reminded that you're in chair pose. Take a big breath in. Exhale, we'll send that left hand down as right arm and leg lift, opening it up to our half moon. Flexing through that foot. Inhale. Exhale, we'll land that right hand, that right foot. And we're coming into that active pigeon, so push the mat away as you bring your ankle over towards the right wrist. Back toes are tucked under as we come onto those fingertips in a wide stance. And then the elbows come out as we start to lift and lower here. Or we can hold. Next time you're forward, we'll hold it here. Inhale. Exhale. And then we'll lift, shifting towards that left side. And then we're facing forward again as we bring the sole of the left foot to the inner thigh of the right leg. We'll frame that leg, kind of finding a comfortable space for us. And then we're gonna add that shoulder mobility. So that left hand will come behind the head as we inhale, opening. Exhale, close. Just start to move through these. Open it up, reach those fingertips up. And then we're bringing that hand to the outside of our left hip as we move into our supported version of Wild Thing. So maybe make those circles with the arm. Nice, we'll reach those fingertips up. We'll push the mat away to where we come all the way up into our gate pose, reaching that left arm overhead, letting that right arm slide down the leg. Big breath in. As you exhale, gaze towards the top of your mat. Bring all 10 toes to where they face forward because we're moving into our standing split. So working that left heel up towards the ceiling. Staying in your standing split, or maybe playing with those blocks if that's helpful. Just kind of seeing what can happen. Woo. Yay. And then we'll find our forward fold. Thanks for allowing me to have playtime. Take a full breath in. Exhale. And then we'll roll it all the way up. As soon as our head lifts, we'll reach up and back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant as we step or float back. Lowering or hovering. Inhaling into our cobra or up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Take a full breath in. Exhale, softening the knees. We'll gaze forward as we step or float to the top. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Let's reverse. Reach it up and back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthening. Hands plant as we make our way to our down dog option to take that vinyasa or not. One more breath here as we inhale. Exhale. Soften those knees. We'll gaze forward as we step or float. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, forward fold. Let's reverse. Exhale into that forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant as we make our way to our down dog or any resting position of choice. That concludes our warm-up. So check in with your breath. Feel free to get a drink of water or get a towel, whatever you need to just let that sink in before we move into our first main sequence of the practice. So our first main sequence is called our peanut butter, and we do it a little bit slower the first time, and then we start to move closer to breath pace for 2 more times. And then we have a second main sequence, which we call jelly, and same thing. We do the first one a little bit slower, and then we start to move more towards breath pace as we repeat 2 times. And then at the end, we bring those 2 sequences together, peanut butter and jelly, to create a delicious peanut butter and jelly sandwich sequence. And that's my favorite part. But more about that later. So our first sequence starts out at the top of our mat. So you can go ahead and make your way to, come into a standing forward fold at the top of your mat. And just check in here. We'll refer back to our affirmation of I choose stillness when words are not needed. All right, let's bring our feet together and we'll sit it back into our chair pose. So arms will reach up overhead, inhale. And then immediately exhale, we're going to twist towards the right. So we did this in our warm-up, which means we won't be here as long as we would otherwise. Take a big breath in. As we exhale, switch out the arms as we come into half moon. So maybe you have a block there for your right hand as you open it up. Really flexing through that left foot, working your way into the ball of the right foot. Inhale. Exhale, we're gonna lower that left hand and foot down, setting up for our active pigeon. So we'll bring that ankle over towards our left wrist. Inhale. Exhale, bring it forward. Breathe here for a full inhale. Exhale. And then we'll push it up. We're gonna lean into the right as we set up for that seated forward fold. So we face the back, sole of the right foot comes to the inner thigh. Once we find our comfortable space, right hand behind the head as we inhale. Exhale. We inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then we reach that arm up. We'll bring it to the outside of the thigh as we lift up our hips. And then we lift all the way up into our gait pose, bringing that right arm overhead. Full breath in. Exhale, gaze down towards your left foot. All 10 toes are gonna face the back as we move into standing split. So feel free to play here. My blocks are on the other side, so I've had enough playtime, I guess. Well, think about it. You really push the floor away as you draw that right heel up towards the ceiling. Big breath in. Exhale, knee draws to nose, and we're gonna come all the way up to standing. So we can take hold of that knee, or we can take our yogic toe hold, maybe working that leg straightish. Either way, we're bringing that leg out to the side. So whether we have hold of our knee or our toe, and you might add things like gazing past your left shoulder or reaching that arm out or up. Big breath in. Exhale, bring the knee towards your chest and find that mountain pose. So that's what we've got for our peanut butter. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, we twist towards the left. Big breath in here. On our exhale, we switch out those arms for half moon. So opening it up towards the right now for you. Flexing through that foot. Big breath in. Exhale, bring that right hand and foot down, setting up for your active pigeon. So back toes are tucked under, coming onto those fingertips as we inhale. Exhale, bring it forward. Full breath in here. Exhale. And we inhale, pushing into those hands, roll to that left side, and then face the front for that seated forward fold, sort of-ish. Bring that left hand behind the head as we inhale. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Open. Close. And then reach that arm up and bring it back as we lift up those hips. coming into our gate pose, reaching that left arm overhead as we let that arm slide down the leg. Inhale. Exhale, gaze towards the front of your mat. We'll bring all 10 toes forward as we come into our standing split, where we have options to play here. Take one more big breath in. Exhale, knee draws to nose. We're coming all the way up to standing, so you could hold on to that knee, or maybe you find your yogic toe hold. Either way, we're extending that leg out to the side. Big breath in. And then on our exhale, bring that knee in towards your chest, finding your mountain pose. So now we'll start to just move more around. One breath, one posture. Inhale, chair. Exhale, we twist to the right. Inhale, opening it up to your half moon. Exhale, lower that left hand and foot and come into your active pigeon. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, lift and shift. We face the back as we frame that leg, and then bring the right arm behind the head as we inhale. Exhale, lower. We inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, reach those fingertips out and then down as we lift up the hips, making our way into our gate pose as we reach that arm overhead. Inhale. Exhale, gaze to the back, setting up for our standing splits. Big breath in. Exhale, bring that knee to chest. Finding that knee or that big toe as we bring it out to the side. Inhale. Exhale, we'll bring it back to center and we'll make our way into our mountain pose. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, we twist to the left. Inhale, open it up for half moon, right arm and leg lift. Exhale, we lower that down as we move into that active pigeon. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, push and shift to the side as we face forward, framing that leg. Left hand behind the head as we inhale. Exhale, close. Inhale, lift. Exhale, close. We reach those fingertips up and then lower down to lift up the hips. We come into our gate pose as we reach up and over. And then we'll gaze towards the front of our mat, bringing all 10 toes towards the front as we come into our standing split. Big breath in. Exhale, knee draws to chest. As we take hold of that knee or that big toe, bringing that leg out to the side. And then we bring it back to center and find our mountain pose. You're doing amazing. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, we twist to the right. Inhale, we open up, half moon. Exhale, setting up for that active pigeon. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lift and shift. We face the back as we frame that leg. Right hand behind the head as we inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale, reach those fingertips up and then bring that hand down so we lift up our hips. And then we come into our gate pose, reaching up and over. As we exhale, gaze to the back, setting up for that standing splits. Reaching the right heel up. And then knee draws into chest as we take that big toe or that knee and we bring it out to the side. Let's bring it back to center as we find our mountain pose. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, we twist to the left. Inhale, open it up, half moon. Exhale, release it down for active pigeon. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, we bring it forward. Inhale, lift and shift. We face the front as we frame, and then left hand comes behind the head. Exhale, close. Inhale, we'll reach those fingertips up, bringing that hand down, and then we lift up those hips. We lift up into our gate pose, reaching that arm up overhead, and then we gaze towards the top of our mat as we come into our standing splits. And our knee draws into our chest As we take hold of that knee or that big toe, bringing that leg out to the side. And then we'll bring it back to center as we find our mountain pose. That's our peanut butter. Nice work. Get yourself a drink of water, check in with the breath, maybe slow it down, maybe close your eyes for a moment. Just give yourself a little bit of time before we move into our jelly portion of the class, which will start in forward fold at the top of our mat, but not child's pose. As we come here, I choose stillness when words are not needed. I choose stillness when words are not needed. We inhale, breath comes in. We exhale, breath goes out. All right, let's do this. Let's come into that forward fold. And then we're stepping the left foot back. We're lowering that knee down as we inhale, reaching the arms up overhead. Exhale, elbows come in close to our sides. Big breath in here. Exhale, bring those hands down. We're reaching for that big toe or that knee as we extend that leg up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, lower that foot. All 10 toes will face the back for arrow lunge. So this is all where we went for our warm-up. So any arm variation you like here. Take a full breath in. Exhale. On our inhale, we'll straighten both legs as we come into sky archer. So those left toes are gonna face the long edge of the mat. And we'll reach for that right wrist as we lean it back. Big breath here. Exhale, moving into triangle. So we're gonna reach towards the back. Right arm lowers as left arm lifts, sitting back into the pose. Finding a focal point that feels good to your neck. Whoa. As we lean back. And making sure both side bodies are nice and long, so you can always lift up a little bit higher with that hand, or maybe you have a block for your hand. Big breath here. Exhale, lower that left hand down. We're moving into our revolved half moon. So we're gonna twist towards the right now, or maybe you wanna move right into your dancer's pose, our revolved dancer's pose for that matter. So we can reach for that foot, maybe lifting all the way up here. And if you're still wanting to play, you could find your baby grasshopper from here, lowering the seat, having your left arm in like it's a chaturanga arm. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Whatever you choose is awesome. And we'll find our mountain pose. Big breath in. Exhale. We'll come into our forward fold. We'll step the right foot back. That knee lowers as we reach the arms up overhead. Inhale. Exhale, elbows to sides, opening up through the chest. Full breath in. Exhale, hands come down. We take hold of that big toe or that knee as we bring it towards the front of our mat. Inhale. Exhale, step that left foot forward. We're moving into arrow lunge, so we're spinning that back leg to the back as well as we find our arm variation. One more breath here. Exhale, ground down through that back foot as we straighten those legs, sky archer pose. Leaning back as we take hold of that left wrist. Inhale. Exhale, moving into our full triangle pose. Stacking shoulder on top of shoulder. Finding a focal point that feels good to you. Big breath in. Exhale, bring that right hand down, coming into your revolved half moon. Or maybe you want to go right into that revolved dancers, kicking towards the behind, reaching for that foot or ankle. And of course, if you wanted to play from here, maybe going into that baby grasshopper. Bring that feet down and extend through the leg. So just move in a way that feels good and natural to you. Inhale. Exhale, we'll release. All right, let's move with more pacing. So from here, hands come down, left foot steps back. That knee lowers as we inhale, crescent. Exhale, elbows to sides. And bring those hands all the way down. Big toe or knee as we extend towards the back. And then we're gonna face the back, moving into our arrow lunge. We'll straighten both legs as we inhale, sky archer. Exhale, moving into our triangle pose. Inhale, we move into our revolved half moon or our revolved dancer's pose. Exhale, we'll release into mountain pose. Come into that forward fold. Right foot steps back. That knee lowers. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, elbows to the sides. And we bring those hands down for our toe or our knee. From here, we step that left foot forward, and then we come all the way forward, arrow lunge. Inhale, sky archer, reaching for that left wrist. Exhale, moving into our triangle pose. Right hand lowers for revolved half moon or revolved dancer's pose. And we release into mountain. You're doing awesome. Come into that forward fold. Left foot steps back, knee lowers, inhale. Exhale, elbows to the sides and down, reaching for that toe or knee. And then step it to the back, moving into our arrow lunge. Inhale, sky archer. Exhale, moving into triangle. Inhale moves you into your revolved half moon or revolved dancer's pose. Exhale, we release mountain. You're almost there. Forward fold. Right foot steps back, knee lowers, arms reach, inhale. Exhale, all the way down. Toe or knee as we inhale. Exhale, step it forward. Inhale, we come into our arrow lunge. Exhale, ground down through that back foot. Inhale, sky archer. Exhale, triangle pose. Inhale, revolved half moon or dancer. Exhale, we release. Okay. Now we get to my favorite part of the practice. So get your drink of water, towel off, whatever you need, just to get your mind right. We're doing this just one more time, bringing both of these sequences together because that's right, it's peanut butter and jelly time. So I want your game face, all right? Give yourself all the pep talks, all the water with the weird squeaks, or not. Also, our affirmation. I choose stillness when no words are needed. I choose stillness when no words are needed. All right, let's do this. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, we twist to the right. Inhale, half moon. Exhale, coming into our active pigeon. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, we bring it forward. Inhale, we lift and shift and we face the back. Right hand comes behind the head as we inhale. Exhale, we close. Inhale, we reach that hand up and down. We lift up our hips on our inhale. Exhale into our gait pose. We face the back, setting up for standing splits. And then we'll move into our standing hand to foot, where we bring our big toe or our knee out to the side. And from here, we're sending that leg all the way back. Knee drops down as arms reach up overhead, inhale. Exhale, elbows come to the sides, and we bring those hands all the way down. Inhale, extend that leg. Exhale, setting up for our arrow lunge. Inhale, we come into our sky archer. Exhale, triangle pose. Inhale, we move into our revolved half moon or revolved dancer's pose. Exhale, mountain pose. First side is done. You got this. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, we twist to the left. Inhale, half moon. Exhale, lands us in active pigeon. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift and shift, face the back. Left hand behind the head as we inhale. Exhale. Inhale, extend and then lower. Inhale, lift up those hips. Exhale, all the way into our gait pose. Inhale, coming into our standing split. Exhale, knee draws into chest as we find that foot or knee and extend back. Lower the knee as we inhale, arms reach. Exhale, elbows to the sides and all the way down. Inhale, extend the leg towards the front of the mat. Exhale, bring those toes down, setting up for our arrow lunge. We inhale. Exhale, lower the back heel down. Inhale, sky archer. Exhale, triangle pose. Left hand lowers. We inhale, revolved half moon or revolved dancer's pose. Exhale, mountain pose. You did it. Awesome. I hope you feel great. From here, we're going to make our way onto our seat, however you want to get there. And just feel free to have any of your props that you might want to use nearby. As you come onto your seat, we'll reach our arms forward, draw the chin in towards our chest as we start to slowly lower all the way onto our backs. We're going to bring our soles of the feet to the width of the mat, so nice wide stance, and just windshield wiper those legs from side to side. Feel free to linger if something seems a little bit interesting, like it needs a little bit more time there. Also a great time to check in to see if there's anything else you may need from your practice today. So that's a back bend, if that's a final twist, if it's a reclined version, all great options. Otherwise, I'm going to invite you to come into our final pose from here of Shavasana, our final relaxation. So you can bring your arms down by your sides with palms facing up. And allow the body to settle in as you take up space here. We take up space on our mats because our practice is a reflection of our lives off the mat. So when we take up space here, it gives us permission to take up space once we get out into the world. Be proud of yourself for showing up to your mat. Proud of all the hard work that you did. And just have so much gratitude. Know that I'm so grateful for you for showing up. I'm so proud of you for showing up. So now we just let the breath be soft, the body still. Shavasana. As always, feel free to stay in this position as long as you need. But if you are ready, go ahead and start to wiggle the fingertips and the toes. Reaching the arms up overhead as we get a nice full body stretch. Just awakening to this new body. Knees draw into the chest as we rock to one side in our fetal-like pose. Our pose for new beginnings. And just taking this feeling with you as you leave the mat. That is when our true yoga begins. When you're ready, we meet in a seated position of choice. Hands can come to heart center, our Anjali Mudra as we tuck our chin under. And just keeping in mind this affirmation of I choose stillness when words are not needed. Thank you so much for being part of this practice, for allowing me to guide you. Know that it's always a true honor. Until next time, namaste. Bye.